This is the Hatteras Community Sailing's 2024 Community Impact Report. My name is Meg Phillips, and I'm the Program Director of Hatteras Community Sailing. We are a 501(c) nonprofit community sailing organization established in 2020. Our organization owns our sailing center facility in Buxton on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We are a U.S. Sailing Certified Organizational member. We use certified instructors, certified in the level of the course they're teaching. We are a SARA and SASA regional member, which is the South Atlantic Yacht Racing Association and South Atlantic Interscholastic Sailing Association. We're fully insured with an impeccable safety record. We exist to inspire lifelong seamanship and respect for nature in the visitors and residents of the Outer Banks. So our strategy is to provide safe, accessible, and sustainable boating to the whole community of youth and adults from ages 8 to 80, including visitors and residents on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Our tactics are to use outreach camps, clinics, classes, socials, and lessons, teaching sailing, water safety, boating safety, navigation, rigging, and boat maintenance. We organize local and regional events to promote safe and responsible boating throughout the Outer Banks, and we lead a year-round youth sailing program across Dare County. We're making an impact across our island, county, state, and region. So we organize every year several outreach programs. In 2024, we had around 11 or 12 weeks of outreach. We make sailing accessible to a new audience. So most of the people who come and sail with us have never sailed before, many have never boated before, and some have never swam before or swum before. New swimmers, new boaters, a lot of new sailors. This year, we had 77, roughly 80 youth come to our program, and out of those, we feel that we made 14 lifelong sailors. So we are impacting youth, certainly, to become lifelong sailors and choose sailing as their sport. In April, we had a group of 10th graders from the Chapel Hill area travel to Hatteras for 3 full days of water sailing. So of on-the-water training and sailing with us. They stayed at the national park for a whole week, 5 days of the school week, and they sailed with us for 3 days. We learned a lot about the physics of sailing, and we sailed on a variety of different vessels. So there were 10 sailors that spent around 24 hours on the water with us across Hobie Cats, a Melges 24, stiletto catamarans, and a Sabre 425. Towards the end of the week, we also sailed Club 420. So these kids really learned how to sail, not just on one boat or on a dinghy, but on a variety of vessels. They really got a good introduction to what it's like, what sailing have to offer. And they are returning in 2025 with not 10 students, but 21. So we feel that was a great success. And that was a special group, too, because there were young ladies in the group that had not grown up swimming or having access to the water who really learned to swim just for this class. And many kids in the group had never boated before. I think 1 out of the 10 students had sailed before. We offer an adult intro to sailing program through the Dare County Parks and Recs Center, and we had around 9 sailors participate once a week for 2 hours over 2 months in the spring, and we're hoping to grow that adult impact in 2025. We lead the interscholastic sailing for teens all over Dare County. And they sailed in 16 practices and 4 regattas in 2024. We had about 7 sailors participate, and they did a ton of on-the-water time. So we figure somewhere around 140 hours on the water. And we only really need just a couple more sailors to have a team from each of the Dare County high schools participating in our regional interscholastic sailing. The model that we use for, an introduction to sailing for children around Hatteras Island that really just want to get to know what we're all about is called Cape Explorer Camp. And in the format, we use our big boats, we use our small boats, we do a little dinghy sailing, and a lot of education in the program. We had this year 14 children join, and they did around 12 hours of on the water sailing time. And of those 14, 3 joined our year-round program. We offer a feeder program for really little kids from 5 to 7 years old, and these kids are really just learning to swim. They do a lot of paddling. We get comfortable in the water, and one of the key parts about this program is we invite our more experienced Opti sailors to join as mentors. So there were 6 children signed in the Sailing Littles camp, and we had 6 Opti sailors come alongside them and mentor for 12 total children in the program. And it was around a 9-hour on the water program. So for little ones, that's kind of a lot. So they got a really good introduction to what we do. And I think the most special thing about it is really that mentoring aspect. The Collington Sailing Camp is one that Hatteras Sailing has been organizing for the past few years, and we coach and provide equipment for the sailing camp up in Kill Double Hills. And this is a really sort of traditional learn to sail sailing camp for youth. We had 22 sailors participate, and they have it's a 30-hour program, so Monday through Friday for the school day hours, and they get as much time on the water as they can during those 5 days. At the end of the week, their parents are invited to come and see them sailing independently. So we're successful in getting most all of these children sailing either a Club 420 or an Optimist by the end of the week. And we have several year-round sailors from Collington or from Kill Double Hills in our year-round program, but that have joined in previous years. But this year we were excited to have one sailor join our year-round Opti program from the Collington camp. Our homeschool camp we offer to homeschoolers throughout Dare County. We chose to host that event during the school year, so it was the first year that school went back in this fall. We had 10 sailors participate for morning on 3 days, so around 12 hours of sailing instruction. And this isn't just children on Hatteras. This is county-wide. In fact, most of the children who participated were from up the beach. And out of that program, we had 2 children join this year-round sailing program, but there's a third who I think will join this spring. We organize regional regattas. So we organize 2 annual regattas and try to bring in participants from the Chesapeake and all over the South Atlantic region to the Outer Banks for youth sailing. The first of our regattas in the spring is called the Wind and Waves Maritime Festival, and in 2024 this event became sort of a really special event. We said, okay, let's expand our audience to reach more folks, and I think we were very successful in doing that. We tried really hard to make a big deal out of our Build Your Own Boat event during the regatta, and many of the visitors who were staying at the KOA in Rodanthe, where we host our event, joined in for that. So we had boats being built from little youth teams from Georgia and North Carolina, locals, residents, visitors, and we had somewhere on the order of 14 or 15 homemade boats that raced in the Sound. Our Lighthouse Regatta happens in the fall every year, usually the last week in September, and we were honored in 2024 to have our Lighthouse Regatta be nominated as a Sarah Grand Prix event. And so sailors from all over North Carolina and Georgia came and attended the event. It was a great success, really, in spite of or despite the fact that our regatta happened to be on the same weekend that Hurricane Helene really devastated our state and Georgia. So it was sort of a light amongst the hard time that the states were going through. And we offer year-round sailing to Dare County youth that they can participate in sailing year-around and choose sailing as their sport and community. And so why do we feel strongly about year-round sailing? So our program is really designed to take beginners and make sailors who can grow into mentors and then become counselors who can get their certified instructors permits and then ultimately grow into a U.S. Coast Guard licensed merchant marine. So our program has a really focused idea of offering a skill progression. So we're the only year-round program in Dare County. There are other sailing programs that sort of offer a week of beginner sailing camp, and there's nowhere to go from there. You can't grow on that skill progression. And so Hatteras Community Sailing, we're really trying to offer that to the whole county. And so we're here to teach a wider breadth of skills on a deeper level, including safe power boating, boat maintenance, weather tactics, rigging, and navigation. We record sea time for our sailors once they turn 15 so that they have the required hours they need to seek a merchant mariner's license if they choose. And they get the opportunity, you can see from the events that we take them to network with other young mariners and professional mariners across the state and across the region. So if they do choose to pursue an ocean-going career, they already have made relationships and connections throughout our state and region. So our year-round program is focused on all of Dare County. Hatteras Community Sailing consistently provides quality instruction and puts out regionally competitive sailors. We've been doing that since 2020. So our sailing program is on par with some of the oldest and best funded yacht clubs in the United States. And, I want to just take a moment to really acknowledge how we could have accomplished that. We have a comparatively low full-time population, and much of that population is much lower income than some of the other communities. So really this is a great big accomplishment, and I want to just take a moment to sort of pat ourselves on the back and call out really what we've been able to achieve on sort of a shoestring budget and a tiny population. We're putting out, the same number of sort of year-round sailors as much larger and better funded programs. So we have 14 Dare County youth between 8 and 18 participating in our year-round program. These sailors are practicing multiple times a week, and they're participating in Sarah and Chesapeake Bay Yacht Racing Association events, including the regattas and events that they did in 2024. It's so many. These kids were representing the Outer Banks and Hatteras Island at all of these events, and even a couple that I could not fit on the slide. So it's important to even just consider the fact that we're doing all of this while also keeping up with our outreach programs. And our kids, the Hatteras sailors, they aren't just showing up to these events. They're really able to hold their own. They're consistently coming in, the upper middle of the fleet, and sometimes walking away with first place trophies. And it's not all about winning, but certainly the skill of a sailor on the race course is testament to the skill of the sailor in the boat altogether. So we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish and the amount of experience these kids are getting. I mean, they just spend a ton of time on the water. So I want to take a minute and just share some of the fun moments that the program we've had through the years. So the kids are getting out in high school sailing. We're going to regional, like Southeasterns for Opti, sailing in really big fleets, varied conditions on a variety of different vessels. They're sailing for fun. They're sailing for competition. They're sailing in, scholastic sailing. They're practicing. They're teaching other kids. and having a lot of fun. So our kids are walking away with not just trophies, but also really big smiles. I love this photo because it really brings to mind, CYC is known as CYC 1853. Well, we're HCS 2020, and you can see that we're still making an impact and walking away with trophies on when we sail with and against even much longer established clubs. So I want to just take a minute to say thank you. We are making a big impact across our island, our county, our state, and our region. And I want to say thank you to all of those of you who are supporting us. We're asking you to please continue supporting us and to help us spread the word about the good work that we're doing here on the Outer Banks.